beginning with the Heart Sutra in English. Thus I have heard. At one time, the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of Ultra Peak Mountain with a great gathering of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in the samadhi of the many aspects of phenomena called profound appearance. At the same time, the Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the power of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said the noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva, how should a son of a lineage train who wishes to follow the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke, and the noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva answered the Venerable Shariputra with these words. Shariputra, those men and women of the lineage who wish to follow the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should look at it like this. The five skandhas should be seen purely in their natural emptiness. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form also is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, recognition, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are emptiness, and having no characteristics, they are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no recognition, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no phenomenon. There is no quality of sight and so on until no quality of mind and no quality of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no exhaustion of ignorance and so on up to no old age and death and no exhaustion of old age and death. In the same way, there is no suffering, no origin, no ending, and no path. No wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, since there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide by means of the profound perfection of wisdom. And since their minds have no obscurations, they have no fear. Transcending falsity, they attain nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in 3 times have relied upon the perfection of wisdom and have become true and complete Buddhas of unsurpassable, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the profound perfection of wisdom, the mantra of insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for it is not deceptive. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Teata om gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhi soha. Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva can train in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi, said to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva noble Avalokiteshvara, and he had spoken well. Well done, O son of a lineage, it is so. O son of a lineage, since it is just so, the profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will also rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra and noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva and the entire gathering, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, rejoiced and praised the words of the Blessed One.
Jambe yang la cha zi lo kang gi lo ru ti ni ti ye na nan da ra ze we chi ni dung gu ji xie xie ji ye ji do ga le bam ze kan da si bi zi ra ma ri me do ne ji si zhō zhō guān lā pū jī dā zī yān lā chū jū yāng diān sōng zhō dā rā chē zhō nī mō nī lō lē jī chā zhō zhō zē jī mā rī mē zē dō ngī nyū gu chē nī chē zē rē rē nā tē nē tā jī sā jū tā sī yon dē lū zō jī sē tū gu Chu da chu da chu ni jin de ta le me se jan be yang la de ra ba za na di omo ara ba za na di
Om
Arabadana
Sriden
Kye Kira Vizreji Dalu Demo Lambarasene Kada Denju Shunlo Dobayi Lord Bobe Nawa Zedus
Saji Pugi
修仙麦道长，日绕内心的金巴的，三界心都没得不瓦依，诸个南大心拉就把拉修。天南地，去个卡拉金子天天呢，其他咱们对接在马拉。萨吉曲吉恰巴阿杜斯，热那门的拉个尼亚达呀米，就当初级瞧那拉，抢救巴多大呢就是去，大吉金属级别做南极。着拉偏见三界周巴拉修，三界却当坐骑却南拉，长久巴多大年叫自己，大概里面做南极，着拉偏见三界周巴拉修，却南拉，长久。大吉金属一别做南极，着拉偏见三界周巴拉修。好了是，嗯，刚刚做的经济上查做啥的，他妈的了呀，啊，但是嘞，这干嘛给我嘛了，马上退嘛都给说的，今天查到是等于呢，嗯，开门都他，啊，这了一下。직제 ngabjunga 직바데 ngedi ngabjunga 직바데 레샤 아니 디 직제 디기 다 딘데리도와 수dim 뒤슈 총진 장르라 친지 로바라 따다 텐좀데 군도 저와 대숨 타라바이 중길이 고기 라페 켐바라 즈스 어디레샤
Now we're on the verse 51. The verse 51, where we read the verse where it says, holding a deluded morality or conduct as supreme, viewing one's body in a reverse way, and indecisive wavering. Realize that these three yokes are barriers across the gateway to the city of liberation.
어디야 단단히 직제디 가르된 버렸으나 아니 다 통방 군주로 숨어야 돼. 군주로 숨어야 돼. 방구야 돼 때문에. 군도 저거 숨부대. 군도 저거 숨부대 가르르에서나 빼는 거라서 지 롱바 신다질이야. 지 롱바 신다질라 파트가 임비나 다 될라야 파트야기. 아니 지 가서 그래 파르제도 맞으나 지게 계획지게 잡아들려야 다 숨유래로 와. 가서 그래서나 안에 람라 도메 되바체 안에 양람 가서 그래다 람 놀아바체 안에 람라 텐좀사 어디 숨딩 알아서 게러와 미지 파충 지질라 파두게 임비나 안에 그 안에 람데 노르스나나 안에 페졸 레기 말바 다 돈이 마도나나 텔라 돈이 파조고 롱바들라 돈이 마도바체 텔라 야타 파도고 티나타 텔라 야지 강바다바지다 야메나지 규노라바지다 빈자다바지라 착신체제 텔라 차제 대대비나 안에 파조고 롱바들라 레로치기 말바 대체 다 양, 되네, 다 아파줘라, 조베이나, 다 파줘, 레사 데스나다, 양데 랑가 데스나다, 데조 랑가 딱다지 아유, 팔리 두고 아유, 섬, 야면은 파겔레비, 내지 약보레지, 되네, 시에바나, 신체니, 차틱 부레지 아유, 섬, 텐데 텐데비나, 안에 파줘라, 레야라, 객치기로 봐. 파줘기, 다, 수수도 세계 롱바텔라, 레야기, 파지치기로 봐. 텐데지레스.
So this verse is that talks about the three, it's also known as the three fetters to be abandoned by the path of sin. In other words, there are three faults which is to be abandoned by the path of sin. It is clearly mentioned in the verse itself by saying that holding a deluded morality or conduct as a supreme, viewing one's body in a reverse way, and indecisive way, realizing the three yokes are barriers across the gateway to the city of liberation. So just as someone who is embarking on the path, and if someone is not someone is not interested in embarking on the path, or someone who is not really familiar with the path and not having an interest in embarking on the path, or by not knowing the path, very decisively, which is having a doubt about the path. And even if one embark on the path, one has some kind of, one become a speculative of whether one can achieve a result as it is mentioned in this. So this kind of, the undecisive and unwillingness and having a doubt of having the doubt of having a perfect result out of embarking on the path will become a impediment, which actually serves as an impediment for one's achievement of liberations.
어디 손지 남발이야 배대나신 안에 나랑도 단다 통방 근주 숨스는면도 어디 다 된대로 봐 통람게 깔라야 통람 바지면랑게 깔라야 당벌라 빵거야 돼 안에 어디 숨래 다 되네 될라야 지고라나라 수dim단 뒤식 총진식도 수dim단 뒤식 총진식인데 다 나랑도 뒤식 수디 좀 발라다 거기 디 돈바송 베서래지 봐. 거 되게 다 나랑도 있는 거 내줘도 저 냠내 지기로 와. 대담아서는 돈바송 베서래지. 페나차샤비나 카시에기다. 지 소보 말은가 돼야다. 대소 안에 뒤식 생기로 와. 어디서 뒤식 총진지. 다 수dim 수디 좀 발라야지. 건조기냐 화랑도 저기 추림들이 송야 여러 앞에는 지 용내 잡아 송야 다다 된데 지 망보지 도와 화랑도라 어디서 추림단 뒤식 존재스도 되죠 지배 초도 이제 타바토야가 귤라 지질라 지야 직체 안에 되네 내 가서 그래 직접 군다 신다랑 르라야 랑기 르 랑기 르스 내면 다 풍봉가데 안에 다레스니 직접 군다 치료배다 비 직접 군다데 안에 다레 대 다레스니 된데 진짜 직체 되네 가서 그래 탈람라야 이니사베 텐좀 탈람라야 다 가서 그래. 탈람라 이니 사베 텐좀 대체 탈람라 이니 사베 텐좀데 예비 있나 안에 람라 텐좀 사기로 봐. 아니 직접 군다디 가자 추림다 뒤죽 존재되기 아니 저거시기로 봐. 람 넣어 봐. 아니 직접 군다디기 대체로 직접 군다디기 음 르디 딱 르스그만도 당가 랑싱이 요바 짐베디기 아니 갈라 착신체로 와 랑기 달라야 착신체네 아니 람라야 드마데야 대체 어 저기 수림다 뒤주 촌진되게 람 넣어봐 대체 안에 직접 군다되게 안에 착신시야 대체 안에 되네 람라 팀좀 싸봐 대체 수주 도시 조제 제 안에 장르라 친지로도 따봐서야 돼 친지로도 따봐서야 돼 직접 군다 대체 안에 람라 팀좀 싸봐 돼 어디 군도 저거 숨보대 안에 탈베 통기를 줘야기 안에 개그래 발지 지기래 왜 라베 안에 이제 뭐 지난 게 대체 만나러 나스 어디 내리자 당에 슬림비는 뭐 뭐지 있을거다
This one. So it's as we talked earlier, the three fetters to be abandoned by the path of sins. And those are the three faults, in other words, the three abandonment, which is to be abandoned by the path of seeing, in uninterrupted path of seeing, in other words. At the moment one enters into the uninterrupted path of seeing, one will be applying antidote towards those three fetters. As we read earlier in this the verse 51, which says verse 51, which it says, holding a diluted morality or the conduct as a supreme, viewing one's body in a reverse way, and indecisive wavering, realizing that there are three yokes are the barriers across the gateway to the city of liberation. So the ethical, what is it? It is to feel that one is ethically superior. In other words, one is observing the wrong behavior by considering that behavior of the body and speech is something that is superior, right? That is superior, and which is to consider that the discipline and ascetic practice, which is normally such practices undertaken by the non-Buddhist practitioners, ancient, the non-Buddhist practitioners of ancient India. So based on wrong views, purifying will lead to liberations. And the view of transitory composite, whereby one mistakenly regards one's body, the five, causal aggregates, as I and mine, and and doubt where one is of two minds about liberation and the path of liberations are the fetters that bind one because of the view of this transitory composite, or which is also known as a view of transitory composition, composition. One has no wish to proceed to liberation. And because of superiority, one mistakes the path. And because of the doubt, one meets with a hindrance. So now what Nagarjuna is suggesting his friend King by saying that you should understand those three, close the gates of the city of liberations and rid yourself of them.
Oh, yeah. Lazo, that the next thing of Jung anybody. Tarba Tala Rale Tela Ni Shenji Trochi Jiang Machi Bes Todan Tsudim Samden Dembayi Demban Nambashila Bebar Zus Odisonasha.
Sort of the verse 52 talks about liberations is dependent upon oneself. What does that mean? Here we read the verse 52, the liberation depends on oneself. In this, since there's nothing to be gained through assistance from others, make effort to realizing the four truths. Through gaining the positions of position of listening, discipline, and stability of mind.
Tarba Siaderva, Taji, Maranzo Nambagi, Te Munzichiala, Sanji Jumdindegi, Nene Chenla, Tarbe Lamdinki, Sirva, Tarba Rangla Rale, Shebargis, Shesumba Nashinchene, Tarba Siade, Soso Rangi Kale Jamne Dugu as a Rematoji, Ani Shenlaya Naro Chi Sene, Ani Manao Yazida, Shinga Robachi as Zawani Yomar Reserva. 타바 랑라 라레 딜라네 서와 타바데 두야데 수수라 랑 수수랑라 라레 바레 아니 디 딘데게 타바 두야 딜라 아니 신기 조기 지양마지베스 신기 만나요야다 파샤시 아니 신기 딜라야 로바치 야레지 자원이니 요마레 서와 지양마지베 아 람디 수수유라 깨바치야당 다 조집에 지양마지스 람디 수수유라 깨야라야 배전시야데 수수랑게 깨바치고레 마도지 치료진의 숙자마야 요마레스 녀몽바데도 수수랑게 배전시네 방야레 마도지 치료진의 로바체용야 요마레스 제르와 아니 마치베스르바 아니 다 소속이 안에 타바두야게 제도 간데스고레스나 퇴당 수도 당부 지 롭정 지구레에서 타바두야게 슝 산지게 순사야게 다 기부 숨지 남지린 발라서바들 저절로야 소속이 안에 퇴바지 롭정 지구레에 제르바 아니 퇴바 롭정 지야데 추림단 덴바신도 추림단 덴바신도르바 추림 여신도 추림단 덴바다 지구레에서 그러바 아니 당보 퇴바제 되네 추림 야보송제 아니 다 삼den스도 대졸라야 지단 삼den스도 잠발야 나란도 대세기 여러와 가서 그래 띵이지 심지집에 삼den스기 여러와 다 단대디 퇴단 추진 삼den스야디 퇴상 검숨 야보지 지구레스 퇴바제 아니 추림 야보숨 아니 퇴베 된들라야 다 검잡내려 검잡내 귤에 깨버치바 예스르바 아니 딘데체니 아니 덴반 넘버시라 베버즈스 다 퇴바다 아니 검자야도 덴바 넘버 딘식이 슝주도 딘식이 내로래야 퇴바치 아니 검잡쇼스 어딘데지르샤라
So in this verse, what we call liberation is nothing other than one's own mind, being free from a bond of afflictive emotions. It depends on training by oneself on the path of liberations. For that, there's no question of being, assisted by someone else. You have to endeavor yourself on your own. As Buddha has stated in the sutra, that I have shown you the path which guides you, or which actually takes you to the state of liberations. Whether one is able to accomplish such a path that I have shown is entirely depends upon yourself. So therefore, in the verse which is stated that the liberation entirely depends on oneself. And there's nothing that someone will assess you or someone will actually present you, which becomes a cause to take yourself to the state of liberations. What is important is what is the skillful means of accomplishing the state of complete liberation is, first of all, one should listen to the teachings of the Buddha time and again, not just once, but again and again, based on observation of pure moral conduct, what it says, which will then take oneself to having listened to the teachings of the Buddha time and again, one will then be able to contemplate on the meaning of the teaching that one have received, which will mature one's mind into what we call the single-pointed concentrations. And with this single-pointed concentration will then transcend oneself to the state of the path, the actual path. And it is that sort of the actual, liberations. So if you look at those, the one's accomplishment or the one's achievement of spiritual path is completely dependent upon one's own effort.
Honest. 다데네 지지 ngabjunga sumbati ane labar mochen namba sumla ya lam labar mochen namba sumla labya deresha lagbe chudim lagbe sherada lagbe simla tado labar jis laba kyatsa ngaju lajingni sumbudena yanda dobar jurus.
So now verse 53 emphasizes on importance of making an effort or endeavoring oneself in the practice of the three higher trainings or lapasum. And here the 53 where we read here, always train in the higher ethical discipline, higher discriminating awareness, and higher mental concentration. The 100 plus, 150 plus, three monastic trainings constitute the first high trainings, and the three high trainings are fully gathered in it.
Yeah. 다 지당 라바스문데 수림 송야데 치르발라 용거 요래 치르바 고란조 다 치르바스 남에도 다 치루 신달라 데 용거 요와 아니 다데네 삼대 고미야 친달라 용거 요래 아니 시라고 지 제바치야데 라바 시럽지 라바데 콘졸라 용거 요래와 이낭 나란족이 달 수림게 라바달라 학배 수림기 시럽 학배 수림기 라바스 학배 안에 삼den지 라바 안에 학배 시럽지 라바스네 라바스운데라야 학배스 자고야 돼 가르레스나 아니 가서 그래 다 타르바토야게 제대로와 세대게 지 삼den 응위시 토비야다 된대게 지 마임바체 세대게스 나면도 야 코베나라야 네 통보다 여기 수감다 수미kamla 제야게 제도 마임바체 안에 타르바랑 토비야게 제도 수dim송 띵이점곰 안에 시럽게 제게 유산 학배 수림 학배 수림세 현다들 학바선 자워 된데스게 요래 제로와 달 라바 수림지 라바제 라바 시럽지 라바제 라바심지 라바스도 잠발라야 라바 띵이지 라바제 델라 뒤다도 안에 라바도 졸라야 랍고고레 지랑게 도서 아니 수림 송공거래 3대 공국의 시럽 제국거래 에스체 딘데인데 안에 대송게 날아야 안에 가라도 수준게 라바 탐제 대송게 날아도 그래서 다 가서 그래. 라바 탐제 다 되나라 두용 그래서 안에 빼는 자샤위나 라바 추림기 라바 되나라야 개롱게 랍자 되라야 다 자다 납중가 숨이라 다 자장가 줄하지 송도 되나라야 어 대야 안에 라바 추림기 라바나라 두용 그래서 진짜 인도 안에 라바 숨자 가서 그래 라바 숨부 되나라야 안 라바 탐제 되나라 두용 그래서 어디래샤
Now, the reason why it calls, endeavoring on the 3 high trainings. It is not just saying 3 trainings, it says 3 high trainings, right? So 3 high trainings here, 3 high trainings here refers to the trainings on observation of morality, concentrations, and wisdom. All those three trainings, the trainings on concentrations, morality, and wisdoms, it's not something that is exclusive practice of the Buddhism, the Buddhist practitioners. This practice, those 3 practices are commonly practiced by both Buddhist practitioners as well as the practitioner of other religious tradition. However, when we talk about 3 high trainings, and the trainings of those 3 undertaken by the other religious traditions are not said, it is not, those are not a practice of what we call 3 high trainings. Because according to Dharma, our purpose of engaging in the trainings of morality, concentrations, and wisdoms are completely directed towards accomplishment or achievement of liberations. It is our main objective. Our practice, whereas the practice that is undertaken by other than Buddhist traditions, religious traditions, their practice is directed towards accomplishment of the state of form realms and formless realms, or the actual meditative concentrations. That is what they're actually focusing, their main focus. As we mentioned earlier, the Buddhist practitioners, the Dharma practitioners, those are not the objective. Our objective of engaging in such practice is not confined towards achievement of higher state, just a higher state within this cyclic existence, but rather our aim is towards accomplishment of perfect liberations. So it is it's all this practice, all these moralities are encapsulated within this practice, within this high trainings of morality. For instance, the bhikshus have the numerous disciplines or the moralities that is to be observed, such as 153 types of moralities that is to be observed by the bhikshus. All of those moral conducts of the moralities are encapsulated within the trainings of the high trainings of discipline or the morality.
Buenas. 진짜 이제 먼저 지단 넘버 3집이 최 창말로 당보 고주야 돼. 아니 팀 숨어야 되네. 지단 가란조 가게를 여번나 신체네. 유주동의 유짐 송구 세번나신 lumba kawa lebi ine, saja kawa tobuji lebi ine, ane yanchi tsoba kidu kandere jiga nala ya zubi ine, tangpo tiki tingdi lamde hakwa wachene de sungu gu yorwa. Tiki tingdi lamde masung nana tingdi lamde ne gebi ina, ane yungu yomarwa, tina lega chidabkura yomarwa, lega chibala tangpo tingdi lamde hakwa wachigurwa. Tena xin, ngaranzo nangpa sanjibi gola ya shukbe tongmani neraga ngaranzo megi chugu tsurimdo sungurwa, tena nangpa sanjibi jiyunga timrwa. Tena ne ane jamdro labja, nangpa sanjibi ina jamne kunjo sumla, ta nangpa sanjibi ina chele majo. 다자게 덤바 샤자 투발라 소바다 데주 지바 탐제레 드에 차브레 싱아주 군조 숨로 접수 두게지 임베 있는 점들 랍자 송거와 점들 랍자 가베 랍자도 두베 랍자도 송거와 어도주 팀 송야디 시송 셴네 도고레스 아니 팀디 송에 가라야 안디 가라야 다지 차책이 나래 다 충산의 셰비나 고라자기 나래 아니 직텐데 지야 돼 아니 선남 숙침부 폐기로 와 수팀디 자원이네 마송버제 팀디 자원이네 마송버제 안 대가라야 신다 베지 쉬우지 지가 제비네 아니 지 가서 그래 시다 영야 여서 말아봤어.
So in the Buddhist practitioners, the Buddha Dhamma, the practice of the Buddha Dhamma, right from the beginning, when one is taking an initiative of engaging in the practice of Buddha Dhamma, the observation of morality is introduced. It's identified by the teachers or the master, which is very, very important. Just as we ventured to the different place or the different state or the different country, it is important for us to understand, important to know the codes and conducts and the laws and disciplines of that particular area, the particular state, without which one may make a big mistake. One is unable to do anything. We may ended up doing something that is offensive, something that offends, something that against the law set by those states or the different places. In the same manners, as the Buddhist practitioners, the practitioners of Dhamma, right from the beginning, one should understand how to observe those 10 moral conducts, the 10 moralities, which is in the general moral discipline that is required for all the practitioners of the Dhammas, which will then be, take oneself to the taking refuge in three jewels. And having taken refuge in three jewels, one then need to observe that the advices and instructions given by the masters while one is taking refuge in three jewels, such as what is to be abandoned, advices on what is to be abandoned and what is to be accomplished, what is to be done, in other words, what is to be abandoned and what is to be done, which should be followed. And on that basis, on the basis of observation of 10 moral conducts, the general moral conducts, and in addition to that, then taking refuge in three jewels and following those advices of what is to be done and what is to be abandoned, if one, on this basis, if one then engages in the practice such as circumambulations or prostrations and so on, will then accumulate tremendous amount of merits, inconceivable amounts of merits Otherwise, without observation of those, there's no basis upon which one can accumulate merits.
어디네 인도 좀 말이야. 되네 대 강라야 되네 소다르게 좀 받아서 이 말에 되네 결혼해야 돼 결혼 당하란조 rab도 주요 domba ke chuda geloni ybenane gelon siade taji 가서그래 지단다 다 퇴선 고선 다 차장간에 자기들도 있나야 gelon 넘버 타바디 팀 이제 가슴도 야버지 송마송 거네 아 장장 샤고고요 gelon 넘버 타바스도 좀 발라야 코치 가서그래 다 계좌 페버리 지시위는 롬니르 스케 매위네 팀 이정을 좀 썼음 됐네 베데 제 강특도직이 약보지 쓴거 이유는 개론 넘버 타고 지래되요 와 아니 다지 지금 달라바 롬니르 지 칼랑 간섬지 이유이네 안팀 이정을 주자 손데 아니 마송나나 아니 마송나 첼레면도 송두기 송시라 마tum나나 아니 고 개론 넘버 타고서 되게 요마와 대지래 테네 나란조 상하가 나라레소나 탐직다 돈바수야 빼마시 텔레 개침부 차네로와 무주 자와 탐직 돈바나 솔레 제버zem바 친지롭세야 송반나신 제네 상하게 무주 초기 무주 송주 겨와 도제 창게 고반도야 아니 규모가 무주 가서 그래 주버침부 개라서 봐 아니 시계왕다가 내려서 봐간 주야 탐지 당부 아니 가라 탐지다 돈바송야 될라 라레도 탐지다 돈바송야 될라야 팀송야 될라 라레도 근데 인디 좀발라야 가서 그래 단다 다 가봐래 마곤조냐 아니 가사 동면나 아니 개워주로 다도로서와 아니 세타레 나그왕슈니 텐데제네 대비나 아니 수수기 지 나그왕슈 산네 검자야 타고 검야라 서버 텐데 마중나나 수술이야 자외동아 마중나나 자외동아 마고나나 아니 개워주로 춘제라야 아니 적은 것도 두두그레스 그봐 텐데제 아니 탐직다 돈바파 마송네 파레 아레파레 땅 대난에 자동 그 유비 있나 안에 베디 제 가서 그래 개번에 개바파도 두비 있는 두야 요마레스로 자와기 모두 그 자와들라 차브레스네 탐직다 돈바송야 돼 송도 어 딘데 전에 당보 팀 송야 돼 개치슈체 안 대가라야 되네 나다버지나 당보 트림 송야 돼 개치슈체 대강라야 되는 하고 보면 당가다야로서 중나 약속체 대마도 지기 나랑저 단다 템바나시 하고 보면 당가다야도 조치슈지 탐직다 돈바송야 되들야 낭중다야 돼 페이지 이상 말했어
So there are many moral disciplines to be observed. As we talked about earlier, the Sotagi Domba, which means the Pratimoksha, which is known as the individual liberation vows, which includes lay vows that includes 10 common moral disciplines, and then it's also included in the morality that is observed by the novice monks and the fully ordained monks. And as we talked about earlier, that fully ordained monks or the bhikshus who has taken the moralities, who have taken the vows of the fully ordained vows as the 253 types of moral disciplines to be observed. Because if the bhikshu who has not been able to observe the 253 vows, very carefully, without any transgressions, then such a individual or the bhikshus are said to be the authentic bhikshus or the pure bhikshus. Otherwise, if they have gone through some kind of transgression of their, vows, of any of those vows, as we enumerated earlier at 253, and such an individual is not considered to be a pure monk or the authentic, fully ordained monks. In the same way, same manner, there are many other vows, bodhisattva's vows, and sacred mantrayana vows or the vrajayana vows. So particularly when it comes to the vrajayana vows, observing commitment and the vows are the route to achievement of one's own supreme liberations, or the supreme achievement of supreme state, in other words, supreme state of Vajradhara. Because now it is stated in the tantric text itself, one's own root cause of achievement of supreme state of Vajradhara is pure observation of one's commitment and the moral conduct, the morality that one have received during the initiations. With the pure observation of the moral conduct and the commitments, and one will be able to achieve the uncommon achievement or the uncommon attainment of the supreme state of Vajradhara, which is the complete state of unity, of complete state of enlightenment. And then common attainment, the 8 kinds of common attainments, which is also known as Tumo and Woduke, followed by the attainment of peace, increasing power, and wrathful practices. All of those are known as the common practices. And all those common and uncommon results can be accomplished or attained by observation of the pure conduct, pure moral conduct, and the vows that we have received during one's initiations. So it is said that if one has received initiations, although one may have not been able to engage in the intensive practice of deity yoga, so long as one's practice is not, one's moral conduct and one's commitments have not undergone any transgressions, if not transgraded, then it is said, although one may have not been able to engage in such a practice very seriously, one will be able to attain the Chogyam, which is the supreme state within one's 16 lifetimes. In the 16 lifetimes, one will be able to attain this, state of, supreme attainments. And so, on the other hand, one has received initiations. If one is not being very careful and not giving a heedfulness of observing those moralities and commitments, and regardless of how much deity yoga practice that one may undertake, in the eons and eons, one will not be able to attain, state of supreme state of enlightenment. So this shows how important it is for us to achieve our result of our practice is entirely depends upon the pure observation of the morality. Because without engaging in this morality, without observing those moralities and commitments, if one engages in the practice of deity yogas and reciting mantras and so forth, will have no result at all. It's kind of, it looks like that people have a different way of doing the practice. Instead of paying more attention towards observing the morality and their commitments, they are more interested in engaging in the deity yogas and practice of deity yogas and reciting mantras and so forth. This is not how we should be practicing. One's practice of deity yogas and reciting mantras and so forth must be dependent based upon of pure observation of morality and observation of commitments or the samaya.
Oh yeah. 다디 제라야 데 제라야 시제 납중 앞시바 되게 안에 왕초 르도 쳔바 디시기 쳔바 집에 남도 녀월 때 텐네 팀네 뭐버라 숨기디 쳔바냐베 추근 집버 주로스 어드리샤라.
So the verse 54, here we read, a powerful Lord, the blissfully gone, referring to Buddha, has indicated that mindfulness of characteristic behavior of the body is the singular path to traverse, holding it tightly, safeguard it well through a decline in mindfulness, all Dharma measures fall apart. So this particular verse actually emphasizes and how important it is for one to maintain our mindfulness. In other words, it is a root cause of our practice of meditation. Last weekend.
So, 다디게 원추 세야데 개부 대저 상벌라야 와 원추 더 메이 왕보세다 메이 원추 세 메이 왕보스는 메왕 개보스디 대체 개보듯이 원추 스디 개볼라야 개부 대저 상벌라 개당네 아니 르또 스디 르게 jelom데 시험받잖네 르게 jelom 데디 르게 쳔베 나게 jelom 이게 jelom 되죠 아니 시험받잖네 아니 템바된 거래서 템바된으로 다 르게 가르치기도 나게 가르치기도 이게 가르치는 것도 되죠 템바전에 텐시되네 돼야돼 아니 산지 좀 되대 탐지기 디시시바 탐지기 아니 송직도 안에 딘데스레 신들와 텐시돼야 돼 아니 산지 좀 되대 탐지기 도교 공부 찍도 제밤네 아니 저버직배 남라 템버레스르와 딘데 인도던 발라야 아니 텐시돼야 돼 템바데베데 섭섭체네 딤데스도 딘데 딤네스도 섭섭체네와 ngombar songki di serwa temba di khadu ine ta sengwena ne pala tu gyo ma temba dengures pena gelon ina khadu ina nga gelon yi samsang ge temba de da ane ji nga gi wang shin jo ina nga ne nga gi tombala ne de gi yin samsang ge temba di khadu ina den ji jos ta de temba de ba nyam su na ba de ba je su na nga gelon yi samsang de ba je to ba che ane yang nga ji tende se da tende yin samsang de pa jesu na 아니 다 gelong samyade 생겨나네 가 gelong yin samyade pa jesu na 아니 다 gelong 게 동바데 봐 가서 그래 다 gelong 동바 동야라 다 니고 차차로 봐 gelong 동바 지야라야 아니 고 개론이 삼산데 바 제차도 좀 말아야 아니 간주 좀 간주 먼저 제인데 개론 돈바디 지기도 그러봐 다가나 상아도 다가로 와다 가 상아게 돈바데다 대 송고 유 삼생나를 제바 때마데나 네 대송야게 산삼데 바 제소나 산삼 개네 바 쇼도 그러봐 제자 템바 냠소나나 안에 수수기 라바 추딩게 라바 송야게 최대도 참마 아니 매바차도 그래 지기도 그래스 어딘데 송나샤
So in the verse 54, where it says right from the beginning of the verse, where it says, "Oh, powerful Lord," the powerful Lord here refers to the king Surabhadra, as Nagarjuna is calling out in a honorific term to the king by addressing him as a powerful Lord. It says, right? Powerful Lord, the blissfully gone, referring to the Buddha, has indicated that the mindfulness of the characteristics, behavior of the body, it's a singular path to the traverse. So we're here now. It not only talks about mindfulness of the body, it also talks about the mindfulness of the speech, and as well as the mindfulness of the mind. So it is what it's actually emphasized here is emphasizing that importance of examining one's own behaviors of the body, speech, and mind, and be mindful of what's the context of one's body, speech, and mind, as always. So therefore, in the verse where it says, the mindfulness of the characteristic behaviors of the body is a singular path to traverse. It's a singular path, which is path that is observed by the great beings of the past, such as the Buddhas of the past, who have gone through such practices, observed this mindfulness, and to be able to attain state of enlightenment. So we, as the followers of the Buddha's footstep, must also do the same. So therefore, one should always, tightly holding to this mindfulness or safeguarding well is something that is very important. Without which, even though one is a fully ordained monk or the bhikshu, if one is unable to be mindfulness, being oneself as the bhikshu, one will not have a desire, or one will not have an aspiration to observe one's bhikshu's vows or the fully ordained vows, and in which one is actually stepping closer towards transgression of one's own bhikshu's vows or the fully ordained vows. Similarly, if one has received the sacred mantrayana or the Vajrayana empowerment, if one is unable to be mindful of that one has received the empowerment of such and such deity, if one is unable to be mindful of that, then one will not be able to observe one's samaya and one's, the vows that one has received during the empowerments and in the initiations, which will then easily be transgressed once behaviors of the body, speech, and mind will become causes of transgression of one's own samaya, as well as the vows that one have received. So therefore, it says, maintaining one's mindfulness without letting it undergo degeneration is something that is very, very important.
honest. 아베지 대 잠시하네. 게 가서래. 맞게 단다디 자제디 가서 그래 된다. 콘조 신달의 이해나디 맞아 인주당 안에 지와 매거 콘조래 디 자제디 여러 배 스케줄이다.
요리 캔다 요리
여러 배.
이거 이 이메일 단시로 봐. 말 지부지게 세상 요리 네
알레나
게시로 봐. 얘말 캔는 거 그냥 근데 쇼
나서.
Ken,
Yes.
there's a question from Gishla
Okay.
saying that do all other, Andrews and Claire's and Michael's, do they have access to this Zoom? That's what he was wondering.
They can attend the Zoom meeting or they can watch the recording.
Oh, okay. You're looking like you do.
Some people do watch the recording.
그런 that 두수 여배네 그런 전에 개인 간의 순전 남배 갑이야 다가라 두수 다가라래 그런 순전 쇼그레스 두수 매네야 다 되나리아 가셔로 와 혼자리 거르셔로 와 어디 쇼고 순전 남사배 쇼 남사배 쇼고리아네 그런 산 두수라데 남겨도 스타고레 센데 송도
알레나스. 나서. 페지다 제샤네 지랑기 단대디간라 지월리기도 했어.
So probably we'll stop here with this today, and anyone has any questions, you're most welcome.
I have no questions tonight. But I assume people will watch the video once we put it on the YouTube channel. And perhaps someone will reach out and ask questions after they've watched it in recorded fashion.
그러나 저 비게 주변에서 믹스에 비진 저 맵서 주셔야 되네. 다 제일 양데 견라 송전난 자외 쇼과 양군지 레코드 근데 년동데 시간인데 여러 봐. 그러나 양데 여배는 아니 흉만에 양고런스테 토캡제 아니 제 된다 흉만을 견라 송전나외 가 양고런스테 뒤쪽으로 센송도.
알레나스. 나서.
So we should still say the dedication prayers. Those who watch the recording can say the dedication prayers along with us. I think this is.
뭐뭐 잠들 뒤로 와서 이게나.
나서.
That's fine.
Dagi jine sape
이와네 된다 도고나 담배다 제바 지스 로산 타고 템베니 모린도 세지
Saji poki
조제면도다 리저가 리신이 되게마네 산지 인도 네네 거라이 조그 남다신 라주 바라쇼
Kewa kundu
양다 라마다 체메 취지 베라 롱제 사다 남기 요제라 조네 도제 장기 고방 교도 쇼 제나 메텔라 가네 야다야미 라메 구제라 덴제 나가 틸레 초주기와 로산 덴베 드메사 세다도 내주지 고르베시가 페나 대화마레 제레세와 인진야도이 샤베시데 파도 딘주지 제드라 쳔바다 군도 상부대야 되세 대다 군지 제소 다로지 대화 대다 탐제라도 야와 탐제지 뭐와 가가 저도 나봐 다시엔 기회 사와 되거냐 상보주제라도 뭐라지
Thank you so much.
아야 오늘 걔라
나게나.
된다 그 로기 타고되다 급자